back when I was in high school, I weighed about 120 pounds, and my mother told me I was fat.
Oh,
Yes. So I had food issues from, way back then. And then when I became an adult, they simply started compounding. But what I recognized when I began this journey was that my emotions, my feelings, all of that were tangled up with the food and what I had been doing as an adult who had money and a vehicle and could go and buy whatever the heck it was I wanted to go and buy, even though I still sneak eat it. It was emotionally driven eating because the most comfortable emotion that I could experience at that time was shame. It was easier to sneak eat, overeat, be, at an incredibly unhealthy weight and feel nothing but shame than it was to feel sad, angry, disappointed, or any of the other emotions that exist in the emotional rainbow. I had learned shame very well to the point it was comfortable.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Neff Inspiration, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stephan Neff. Another fantastic day for an interview. And today I'm so excited to talk to Leslie Lindsey because Leslie has written a book. The book is called You Can't Eat Love. And when I read that, just the title, I knew I had to get her on because emotional overeating is such an issue in my life. It is an addiction in its own right. I mean, eating disorders are so prevalent out there. Obesity is hitting 50% in the United States and super morbidly obese. We are talking towards, 15, 20% of the population. There's a huge burden on society. There's a huge burden on each and every one of us because there are so many emotions that are caused by that. There's so many emotions that are causing that, and it's quite an intricate web that is being presented to us. And who better to tease that web apart than Leslie? Leslie, welcome to my show.
Well, Stephan, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to talk to you, primarily because what I love about what you are doing is you're ripping back the curtain and talking about the undiscussed, untalked about, unrevealed causes of addictions. We're not talking about how you can get over or through or, white knuckle your way. You are actually talking about what is causing these addictions. And that is such a breath of fresh air to me, because until we address the cause, it doesn't make any difference what we do about the rest of it.
So true. So true. And I strongly believe that. And I think that is why I actually changed the name of my show from My Steps to Sobriety towards Neff Inspiration, because the steps to sobriety is all quite pretty. But if you don't deal with the underlying problems and all the other shit that happens in your life, if you don't develop different coping mechanisms, you will get back to the same problem spot where you have found yourself recently. So no, but I mean, that's my story. But Leslie, how did you get to write such a book? Why did that pull on your heartstrings?
Well, like so many other people, I hit a point in my life where I realized, I hate to say I hit a low point because I feel like that's tempting the fates to say, you think that was low, let's just show you. So anyway, I hit a point in my life where I realized I could do one of two things. I could either keep going the way that I was going, and it was probably going to be a train wreck very soon, or I could make the decision and take the action to get healthier mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I decided I wanted to be living the best version of my life. And so I started on the journey to get healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Mm.
I thought the hard part was getting physically healthy, because at the time when I looked at myself, I was 100 pounds more than what I currently am. I thought that the easy part was going to be getting healthy emotionally and mentally.
Yeah.
I tell people that if I'd have known how hard the work was going to be, I don't think I ever would have gone on the journey. But I'm extremely grateful that I did, because of what I had learned. Now, let's put a pin right there. I had struggled with my weight my entire life. And in fact, back when I was in high school, I'm 5'8". Okay. Back when I was in high school, I weighed about 120 pounds, and my mother told me I was fat.
Oh.
Yes. So I had food issues from, way back then. And then when I became an adult, they simply started compounding. But what I recognized when I began this journey was that my emotions, my feelings, all of that were tangled up with the food and what I had been doing as an adult who had money and a vehicle and could go and buy whatever the heck it was I wanted to go and buy, even though I still sneak eat it. It was emotionally driven eating, because the most comfortable emotion that I could experience at that time was shame. It was easier to sneak eat, overeat, be, at an incredibly unhealthy weight and feel nothing but shame than it was to feel sad, angry, disappointed, or any of the other emotions that exist in the emotional rainbow. I had learned shame very well, to the point it was comfortable.
Wow, what a statement. I love the way you described the being comfortable with a negative emotion in order to sort of choose the lesser evil or maybe not even the lesser evil. You didn't need to address the unknown, because an emotional rainbow is exactly that. There are, how many emotions are there? I don't know, I've never counted them, but there must be hundreds when you actually dig down to them. And all of them are scary. And if we are not used to be with ourselves and are comfortable to accept that there are waves of neurochemicals washing over us that make us feel a certain way, then you want to run away. What did the food give you?
Well, what the food did was it started off, the voices that were inside my head of, you're fat, you're this, you're that, all of those negative comments, which would light off the shame. And I needed the shame to be lit off. I needed the stress of feeling shame to be lit off, so that I could overcome whatever I was truly feeling. Because it was hard for me to feel even proud. It was hard for me to even feel proud. I didn't believe I deserved to feel proud. So it was easier to get back over there where, the shame would light off and I could say, okay, I know who you are. I'm comfortable with sitting here. I do feel shame there. I'm not, a worthy person, and, all that negative self-talk could start over. Of course you can't lose weight. You have no willpower. Of course you can't do this. So all of that negative talk would start off. And what I discovered when I went on the journey, this is insane, but what I discovered when I went on this journey is our brain cannot tell the difference between negative talk and positive talk. The only thing our brain knows is that it's being talked to. Okay. So think about this. We've all known that kid in the class who, didn't behave and was constantly in trouble. Why was he constantly in trouble? He was being rewarded for his bad behavior, for not following the rules, for not doing what was acceptable, right?
For sure, yeah.
Why would he stop? If he stopped, he no longer got attention. But in the midst of all of this discovering that my emotions were what was driving my food consumption, I found a book called Don't Shoot the Dog. Now, please, it is not about shooting animals. It's about training them. And the point that the book makes is when you're working with an animal and you want it to do something, you reward the behavior that you want it to continue, and you absolutely, totally, completely ignore the behavior that you want to stop. Now, think about that. If we as people, yes, we are animals, aren't we? If we as people start focusing on behavior that we want to continue, let's say, for example, Stephan, I noticed that you unloaded the dishwasher the other day, and it's not something you normally do. And so I comment to you, Stephan, I noticed the other day that you unloaded the dishwasher. You know what? I really appreciate you doing that because it was a very busy day and I really didn't have time, and you saved me a whole lot of time.
Exactly.
Now, how would that feel as opposed to my saying to you, how come you never unload the dishwasher? I am so busy and you never have time to unload the dishwasher. Now, which way are you more inclined to unload the dishwasher in the future?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we can start developing the habit of noticing when we do something that we want to continue, for example, if we struggle with emotional eating and we're in the middle of not wanting to feel whatever we're feeling, we're either angry, we're sad, we're, whatever it is, and instead we're diving into the pantry and we come to consciousness and we realize, okay, I just ate half of a line of Oreo cookies, but you know what? I'm stopping right now. That's amazing. I stopped with only half of a row of Oreo cookies.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yay, me. Now, how would we feel the next time?
Nice. I love that. I very much love that. And I guess we shouldn't really push aside the powerful emotions that are triggered by the kind of not so clever foods for your body. Okay, and I put it carefully like that, because, I mean, typically when you're down and when you're not feeling right, you're not reaching really for a kale leaf, or are you? Or for something like that. No, you want to have something that gives you that dopamine rush. And that's typically high fat, high sugar, high salt, and this combination of that, just the right crunch, just the right fat, just the right salt, this kind of triangle is actually called the bliss point. It's a thing that that food technologists are chasing, because you get just the right bliss point. It's virtually impossible for you to stop eating unless you're really in control of your body. So here you are. There is a whole $1 trillion industry out there trying to make you eat shit. But that shit does something. It gives you a dopamine rush. It gives you that, oh yeah, I love it. And I love it. Are we not having the emotion? Are we not having, you can't eat love? But yes, I love it. That's the immediate response, isn't it?
Well, what I discovered was I started tracking what I was eating. And when I would write down that I had eaten, all those cookies and cakes and chips and things, I took a breath and I asked myself this question, and I still ask myself this question when I find myself reaching into the pantry. In fact, it happened just yesterday. What is really going on in this moment?
Yeah.
And then I pause, and that's the important thing.
Yep.
So many times we are desperate to be heard, but the one person who is available to us 24/7 to listen to us go on and on and on for the millionth time about whatever the heck it is that we're going on and on about is us. And yet we refuse to listen to ourselves. So What do I do in order to listen to myself? I grab a pen, I grab paper, and I have written conversations with myself. You know what? I was so angry that this happened. And then I wanted to do this, and this is what I really wish would have happened.
Yeah.
And then I'll take a breath and I'll say, well, of course you feel that way. Why wouldn't you feel that way? You felt as if you were being taken advantage of. You felt, whatever the heck it is you're feeling. And then you just keep on going until you're empty. Now, why do I say pen and paper? Stephan, how many times have you started one of those conversations in your head and all of a sudden you realize the hamsters are running the show and they refuse to get off their wheels? When we write it down, the hamsters get off the wheels, they go back to the pet market. And I'm on a campaign to get all the hamsters off all the wheels and put the pet markets out of business. So having that written conversation actually is far, far, far more positive than if you let the conversation run in your head.
Absolutely.
And I actually do write down, of course you feel that way. Why wouldn't you? And then I'll answer the question. The other question to ask is, when was the last time or when was the first time that you felt this? And this is something we were talking about before we came on air. So many times that trigger is tripped as a consequence of something that happened way back, a situation that happened way back where we needed affirmation, we needed affection, we needed acknowledgement, we needed something, and we did not receive that which we needed from the people that we trusted in our lives to take care of us. And instead, we went looking for something to soothe that tension that we felt inside. And then we were like, oh, well, now that felt good. Okay, so the next time that trigger gets tripped, we go for the thing that soothed us. And we keep on going until we are suddenly labeling ourselves emotional eaters, stress eaters, whatever. We have become this behavior instead of acknowledging, you know what, because of the patterns that I developed when I was young, I eat when I am stressed.
Beautifully said, because you become a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak.
100%.
Isn't it? But the other thing to say is that, I mean, the average person has 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And guess what? About 80% of them are negative. So we are focusing on all the wrong things. But also these thoughts are fast, they're lightning fast. And you actually writing things down, you are slowing down time. You go into slow motion because, especially when you're writing by hand, that you're actually really taking time. When you're starting to write, you're actually living right now in the moment. So that's actually really beautiful. So you're calming things down. You're giving first of all, you're giving it also names. You're actually putting it in words, because thoughts are actually just something just coming through. And then suddenly you are putting words to it. And I had revelations where I put something down in writing, like you did, put something down in writing, and I thought, what a bullshit. What a bullshit. The moment you put it in words, write it down, you see what crap you're actually listening to. And because it's a radio station out there, you choose which channels you want to listen to in your head. So yeah, I love what you're saying. You're so right. But yeah, it is hard because here you are, your body at some stage, typically at a very young age, you have been experiencing that feeling of release or that feeling of relief, that feeling of love. Let's say you fell over and you scratched yourself. Often enough, you would get a lolly to feel better. Exactly. So hang on, that's a very quick way how to say, "Ooh, I've got pain. Now I eat something sweet." Ah, that's how it works. Uh-huh. So, damn. Okay, come on, Leslie. Here we are. You're talking about a lifetime of conditioning, and you think we can get out of that? Oh, come on, you're
Uh,
dreaming, girl.
no, I am not dreaming. I'm not dreaming. I believe that we can get out of it. However, I also believe that we can learn to be kind to ourselves. One of the things that I talk about in the book is if we view life as a journey.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you are well-traveled. You've been in many large cities and you've been on the road and suddenly you hit a traffic jam, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, when you hit that traffic jam, do you park your car and get out and walk back home? No.
No.
And if you did, and you told people about it, they would think that you were insane, right? Right after they finished laughing,
Yeah,
they would
exactly.
say, so what I realized and what I talk about in the book is when we run into these obstacles, let's say it's a specific holiday and we struggle with that holiday, that's a trigger. Okay.
Mm.
Or we go to an event and there's great Aunt Mildred and we know that she's going to be shoving, these fabulous cakes and insisting she made them just for us. That's a trigger. We have all these triggers in our life, or we just have life. I mean, I don't know about you, but life does happen.
Mm.
When we plan for those triggers, that's number one, then we have a plan when we hit the traffic jam. So when you hit an actual traffic jam, what are some of the things that you do so that you can endure the traffic jam?
Mm. Distract myself, put a podcast on, put some music on, have cautiously more coffee, making sure that there are trees somewhere around. Something like that.
Okay, but the one thing you do not do is park your car and get out and walk home, right?
Negative. No.
So if we start looking at the obstacles that we know we are going to hit, the traffic jams that we are going to encounter as we are working our way to become the best version of ourselves,
Yeah.
then we can understand, let's say we go to a party or a weekend event and we overeat or we eat more than we intended to eat. Instead of beating ourselves up, we say, you know what, that was just a traffic jam. Hey, I'm getting right back. I'm making different choices, and we move on, right? Because when you get stuck in a traffic jam, not only do you not get out and park your car and walk home, but you also don't beat yourself up over being stuck in the traffic jam. It just happens, right?
Well, that's true. That's true. For that, though, there needs to be a
So
certain
why do we beat
acceptance.
ourselves up?
Because we are not accepting ourselves. We think we are in control of absolutely everything in our world, and then get really pissed off if we can't control certain things, is it?
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing that I realized is there's only one person that I'm in control of, and that's me. And 50% of the time, I'm not in control of me. So
50% is very optimistic already.
But the one thing that is a true hard fact, I'm not in control of anybody else.
Yeah.
And once I started accepting where I am in control, then the need to try and hold the universe together started releasing.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make any difference what I wanted to do, what I intended to do, or anything else. The only thing I could control is my action right here, right now, in this
Correct.
moment.
Correct.
And that was it.
Hmm. And that's not just a little thing. That is a huge privilege. The privilege of choice, the privilege of us understanding that we can take action at any second in the day, that we have got that power. Yes, you might find yourself in situations where either your own decisions or maybe things that happened around you left you in a less than desirable spot. You might have just lost your relationship. You might have just lost your work. You might have just lost a lot of things. You have got right now choices to make. And one choice might be to go for this beautiful almond croissant or cheesecake or a pizza. That's cool. And right now, that's absolutely fine. Just enjoy that moment in time. You want that sugar rush, you enjoy that sugar rush. But don't distract yourself with something else. Just enjoy that sugar rush. End of the story. And now move on. And I think that is
that is a huge key. And that's one of the things that I say to people when you have done everything else and whatever it is that's in the pantry is still calling to you, go answer the call.
Exactly.
Do not beat yourself up.
Exactly.
Just answer the call.
But then again, that is when the times are not so good. But there are times when you're really in control. So who's filling the pantry? Who is going out there and getting the super special offer of 20 rows of Oreos? And by the way, we are not financed or sponsored by Oreos. Nope, this is not product placement. Okay, let's get that right. No, it is up to us what we choose, and I think that was one of the big lessons to learn for me in my life, to actually say, okay, right, there will be a moment at 10:30 at night, I want to wolf something down. Well, nowadays, I make sure that, I know I'm a weird dude, but I like Brussels sprouts. So I actually steam Brussels sprouts. So there are Brussels sprouts, 0.5 kilogram, waiting for me to wolf down with a total of 50 calories or something like that, and shitloads of fiber. So I will make sure that I can stuff my face, but I will stuff it with something that is very, very healthy. And so I'm actually beating that urge. And when I say beat, I give in to that urge. My body says, give me something now.
You're satisfying the urge.
Correct.
However, you have made a choice so that when the urge comes upon you, you are prepared and you know that the taste is coming. You understand the flavor.
Yep.
Your body starts getting excited and looking forward to that flavor. And then when you consume it, it's ticked all the boxes and you're not sitting there beating yourself up.
Exactly.
Saying, oh my gosh, I wish I could have whatever.
Exactly.
And we can learn to start going after Brussels sprouts, broccoli, whatever it is that you enjoy. We can learn to go after those things instead of going after the other stuff.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I do talk about is if you know that you're going after ice cream at 10 o'clock at night, set an alarm for 10 minutes before. Make a plan for what you're going to go after. I like non-fat Greek yogurt with frozen berries in it.
Nice
Microwave
one.
the berries. It tastes like ice cream. It's delicious. It's loaded with protein. It's satisfying. All of those boxes get ticked. So if you have a plan prior to that automatic alarm system that your body has, but you set a physical alarm for about 10 minutes before, you're interrupting the pattern. You're providing something to your body that will satisfy your body. Exactly. And you get to celebrate, hey, look at me. This is the choice that I made.
Exactly. Beautiful.
And celebrate all the wins.
Exactly. Because there are so many wins. You have taken action. You have made choices. You are living intentional and you're living here in the moment and you're looking after yourself. Win, 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 win. And I think we are so bad in celebrating our wins. We're taking them for granted, but we are so focused on the one slip up or the one thing where you were not working 100%. And that's actually such a strange thing, because sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So, keep that in mind. You make a mistake, you learn from it. And I think that is the beautiful thing. That is again a privilege that many of us don't don't accept as being that. It is good to make mistakes. Without them, you don't figure it out. And
Well, without making mistakes, you don't learn anything.
touche, touche. And I think I love it that you journal. I love it that you recorded your food, because often enough, all those things, they are because of the shame. We don't want to have a closer look at it. We don't want to have the spotlight on those things that we have got in our pantry. And I think that is sometimes where, well, certainly where my journey changed, when I became a little bit more focused on the true content of what I was eating. I had already switched over many times in my life, my food, always a little bit better. I thought I was doing well. And then nowadays you've got certain apps on your phone, like FitnessPal or similar things, where you can actually give in, enter the amount of what you have eaten. It takes a bit of time to get used to it, but once you've done it, it's very easy and straightforward and doesn't take any time. And suddenly you see actually exactly how much is in an Oreo, how much crap and how much good things. And then you suddenly do no longer guess or let the negative voices talk, but you actually get the facts. You actually see, okay, today my fiber intake was surprisingly lousy. I thought I'd eaten well. But that one salad leaf at lunchtime didn't really touch the sides. So maybe, just maybe. Or you don't. And sometimes there are hidden things in foods that you deem healthy. For example, you think you eat a sushi or so. And yeah, sushi is healthy. Yeah, fish, bit of greens in there. Well, the reality is many commercially prepared sushis are so full of sugar and so full of white rice, which is sort of high glycemic index. So not really clever stuff at all. And then you learn that, well, actually, if I go for the brown rice option, well, that's lower glycemic index. And if I might not even go for that, but I might use something else. Oh, wow. Suddenly, I eat far healthier. I don't get that 30 minutes later slump, ka-dunk, when your blood sugar goes into the cellar. Here you go. So you're learning. So again, you have to take that privilege, the bull by its horns, and actually accept reality, accept that you have got emotions, accept that those emotions maybe, just maybe, are contributing to a weight that you don't like so much. So don't beat yourself up about the weight. Get curious about the emotions. I think that is how the big lesson that I learned, and that I still every day am working on. Is that not fair to say?
That's very fair to say. And I would also like to touch on something that you had mentioned earlier. One of the things that I came to understand is, and this was following a conversation, how many times have you said to somebody, this is what I'm feeling, and their response to you is, you shouldn't feel that way?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what I say now is, my feelings are my feelings and nobody else gets a vote. We are not doing emotions by committee.
Nice.
So if you share with somebody that you're feeling something and their response to you is, well, you shouldn't feel that way, what I want you to visualize is that is as if that person is telling you that my blue shirt, I'm wearing a blue shirt, that my blue shirt is really red. But you know that the blue shirt is really blue. So what I would encourage you to do is start questioning their information rather than questioning your emotion.
Very nice. Very nice. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, there's so much, though, that needs to be untangled. But at the same token, it is an opportunity for us to touch base with really what is going on within ourselves. And needless to say, this is not a one day fix. So this is not you going, 1st of January, I go on a diet. It's not for nothing. It's not for nothing that the word die is in diet, because it will not work, girl, boy, whatever. It is, no. That's 90% of the New Year's resolutions have failed after 10 days. So there you go. And I think we have got choices. We have got choices to look at our emotions and what is really causing us to overeat, causing us to behave a certain way. Because it's not just eating, isn't it? What you're describing actually fits for every single addiction out there, don't you think?
Exactly. Because we're running from something. Our body does not like tension. Our brain does not like confusion. Our brain is doing everything it can to be happy. Our brain is also driving us to what we are comfortable with. And many of us are sadly comfortable with not feeling good. And I don't mean physically good, I mean mentally and emotionally good. And so as a consequence, we do what we need to do in order to reduce that tension. And for me, it was easier to go for food than it was for anything else. There have been times when I wished that I did like to drink. I don't like to drink, so I'm not an alcoholic, but for me, having gone on the journey of starting to unravel my emotions and confronting my emotions and naming my emotions and then sitting in that feeling. And I say to people, don't try and sit in the feeling for longer than you can sit in the feeling. If you can only sit in whatever you're feeling for 1 second, okay, that's as long as you sit in it that time. And you know what? You give yourself a big cheer. I sat in that awful emotion for 1 second. I experienced that deep sadness, that raging anger for 1 second, because that's as long as I could do it right now. Well, the next time you may be able to do it for longer. It's just like any other muscle that we have.
Wow.
We have to practice, we have to work out, we have to train it. And if we can start with people like you, Stephan, with people like you who are bringing this out into the light so that we can have actual real life conversations about how, as I like to say, no one can make you anything. No one can make you sad, happy, mad, joyful. No one can make you anything. It's a choice.
I like that.
I like to say, no one can make me anything, well, except reservations for dinner. And I prefer a 5-star restaurant and you pick up the tab.
You wish, girl, you wish. No, I think the reality is it's not an easy journey whatsoever, because here we are talking about emotions which are incredibly complex and which are incredibly confusing often enough and scary. And so I'll accept all that. But it's more than that. It's often core beliefs that are laid down very early in our childhood and which are often so skewed and so rubbish. There are also pictures that we paint in our mind about ourselves. And for a time, they can be very powerful and very, very good. I was a victim to a gang assault, and then I flipped it over to become a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm Rambo. But survivor, again, means you only focus. Your focus is on this surviving, on this sympathetic drive, on this. Because they have beaten me up, because of that, I need to, it's focus. And whilst that has helped me in many aspects of my life, that picture that I've painted, if you constantly live in that state, that's not really a good state to be in. That's a state where you go for survival, which means that your body says, okay, come on, give me any food, because it's also about survival. It's all about me having to have full energy tanks. And if we better put some fat on there, because otherwise, who knows what happens? It's survival time. You get the idea. So I have become in the past a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak, but not in a good way. So we need to be aware of those kind of things that are happening within ourselves. But the problem, of course, is you don't know it until you know it. It is really, really hard for you to realize what is going on if there is not someone who is asking the hard questions, someone who is listening to what you're saying and also listening to what you're not saying. I think that is where I found myself in the past, and even nowadays, I'm communicating with wonderful, wonderful people, psychologists, people that I see for myself, and I realize they are asking questions where I say, "Huh, had not thought about that," and I think that's where the power team comes in, where you alone, where it makes it really, really hard for you to actually come to the right conclusions or speeding up the journey of revelation that is waiting for you. And I guess that's where you come in, Leslie, isn't it? It is, if you create a power team where you are surrounding yourself with 6 millionaires, it's very hard for you not to become richer. Or actually wealthy. Richer might be a negative word, but for you to become financially more steady, if you surround yourself with 6 painters, sooner or later you learn how to paint. So how would it be if you create a power team where there are people in your team that all know more about their subjects and who can maybe help you in your journey with regards to your food addiction, your loving of food for all the wrong reasons. Um, so, Leslie, if people sort of gel with what you're saying and want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Well, the easiest place to find anything about me and to connect with me is on my website, which is youcan'teatlove.com. All the information, my books, everything is there, including if you want to send a message to me, you can send a message. And I am the one who answers it. I've had people ask me, are you a real person? Yes, I'm a real person.
I can vouch for that. youcan'teatlove.com. That's wonderful. Guys, look down there into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast, all the information and more, and the links to her books, shall I say, are there. Leslie, you're an amazing woman. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. You are actually pulling the band-aids off and let the sun come to some sore spots on some people's souls. And I think that is the beautiful, beautiful thing to do, because only by us raising awareness will we allow others to actually think, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. And for me, it's an ongoing journey. We said before the show, it is a day where I don't learn anything, or where I don't challenge or have my beliefs challenged, is a very sad day. Today is a very good day because some of the things you said were already reinforcing certain things, we're challenging other things. I thought, okay, there's more work to be done. And I like that. I like that a lot. So thank you so much for being a guest on my show. You're an amazing woman. Please keep doing what you're doing. 50% of the population obese. There is a lot of work to be done, but we can do it. We can do it, but we don't aim for the pinnacle of wisdom somewhere up there. No, do the basics right. Start working by accepting your emotions and put little steps, but consistent steps in every day to make a little change here, a little change there, and then celebrate the wins. And it's going to be an amazing journey. You will overestimate what you can achieve in a year. You will underestimate what you can achieve in 5 years. In 5 years' time, you would be a very, very, very different person if you just take that small opportunity, that small privilege to make a tiny change right now. And it's beautiful. So yeah, life is beautiful. Leslie, you're an amazing woman. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show.
Well, thank you, Stephan. It's been wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing.
Shall do. And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with passion. Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.